After a terrible accident, David James thought he'd have to give up gardening. But his community brought the thrill of growing back into arm's reach.
It was in October 23rd of 2008. There were some trees that encroached out in the fields, and we were in the process of cutting tree limbs back. I was up on the lift. My feet were about 13 feet off the ground. And as I was running the chainsaw, a tree limb kicked back and I went airborne. First thing I can remember was my middle daughter, Kathy, holding my hand at the hospital. And I had presence of mind enough to say, I really did it this time, didn't I? And so that's why I have no chance of ever walking again in this life. But I still have hopes of getting in the tractor and still driving the tractor. I loved my occupation. I loved it so much that there were a number of years when I knew the very next day that I was going to start planting corn, I had trouble sleeping the night before. I love to plant corn, and I'm not ready to quit yet.
I came here to visit him early in the winter when he had been home just a few weeks, and he still continued to talk about the good things and how it was going to work out. So as I left there, I couldn't believe anybody could remain so optimistic after something like this had happened, and I got to thinking, he talked about farming and gardening and all those things, and it just came to me that maybe he didn't have to give up everything.
And Carol knew of my desire for farming and for gardening, so she started doing some researching and found some information about elevated gardens.
So I put together a letter, and it was just such an outpouring of interest.
As you're probably aware, our friend David James survived a serious farm accident last October, but was confined to a wheelchair as a paraplegic. Dave has remarkable optimism
as well as his strong faith, but he faces the challenge to begin a new life and give up many activities that he has always
greatest
enjoyed.
hobbies was his vegetable gardening, an activity which can be adapted to his new lifestyle. Raised planters, pathways,
alternative watering systems, and adaptive tools can restore some independence and create a productive...
I would like to try to provide David with the opportunity to return to vegetable gardening.
A few letters went out, and then those folks sent a check and gave that letter to another neighbor or a relative, and all at once the little post office box that we had rented in Radnor was just overflowing with letters on a daily basis. And people would just, it wouldn't be uncommon to open an envelope and have a $100 check. It just turned into this wonderful project that pulled the community together. And one of the community members suggested to me that we try the Delaware Area Career Center, and we could add the component of being an opportunity to be an educational project also. About early May, they started the process, and of course every time they were here, Dave was out here in his wheelchair watching and asking questions and setting things up.
I wanted to be able to help. All I could do was sit and encourage them and thank them. I always wanted to give and help other people, and I am not a very gracious receiver. I have had to learn to be a gracious receiver because of so many things that people have done for me since my life has totally taken a turn.
So he was able to plant some of his garden last year as early as May.
It is growing great. They've done a fantastic job, and I'll brag on them for the job they did. There's 10 boxes out there altogether. They're 3 feet wide, 6 feet long, and 30 inches high, with a brick way down through the center. And so in 2 of the boxes, I put strawberries in. So we have our own up-ground strawberry patch. I have muskmelon, cucumbers. I got beets, tomatoes, cabbage. I don't know about other people, but I'm one of these people, I'd love to get my hands in the dirt. I've always been that way. I'm not used to having clean fingernails. For the last year and a half, I've had clean fingernails. I don't know how to deal with that.
I think Dave, like a lot of farmers, has soil in his veins, And the ability for him to come outside, put his hands in the soil, handle seeds and seedlings, and watch things grow to maturity and harvest is so therapeutic.
As often as I can get out there, I love to be out there. I'm an outdoors person. I can't walk, but walking isn't everything.